Hello, I am Daisy, your hostess. In this video, we are making a slight shift into the esoteric, an area that I find quite fascinating and have learned to explore carefully. This topic is not for the weak mind, it is for those individuals who are ready to explore the more finer aspects of the human potential. I've been curious about this field as early as my teens and have incorporated the idea of cultivating the finer aspects of what it means to being human into my daily life. And what a whopper of a challenge it has been. Sometimes I'd like to believe that life has gotten in the way with all its myriads of challenges, yet the opposite has been true, that the challenges are part of the attraction which has afforded me to understand the interconnectivity of life and then has allowed me to cultivate these finer aspects, turning anger into peace, turning hate into love, and all those I would call transformational things that we can do ourselves. But we have to do the work. No one can do it for us. Unfortunately, when the bills pile up or the dynamics of relationships present the lessons, it's so easy to forget the spiritual component. This book is titled Your Psychic Self, a treatise on the various forms of psychic powers and how to develop them. It may be a compact book, but I really enjoyed reading it. It is written by Rose Breitfeld, and this author explores the different types of psychic powers that exist, including clairvoyance, clairsentience, telekinesis, telepathy, and more, and offers somewhat vague exercises that the reader can use to develop their psychic abilities and strengthen their intuition. But I see it as a book that allows the layperson, the person that's never even touched this topic, to begin to explore without fear. And I think that this book really offers that. This reading allows me to invite you along with this exploration. If you wish to jump to the reading, please visit the description of this video and you will find a jump link as well as links to the resources I'm using for this introduction. So I'll be here for a few minutes and I'd like for you to hang out here with me. But if you want to jump along, then please do so. I believe that when it comes to psychic development, more people are open to sharing their, for lack of a better word, personal sensory experiences than they were in the past. And I believe that the reason for that is that science is stepping in to offer explanation and theories for some of this phenomena. I am sure you yourself may be more sensitive to things than others, whether it be a gut feeling, an intuition, a hunch. Now, I do agree with something the author said in this book, which is, when you know how to use your finer forces, you will not stoop to anything that is contrary to good taste. I add to that statement of good taste also what resonates as truth for you in so much as aligning yourself to a higher vibrational being or path. The author also adds that the old medium is replaced by a more scientific one, and that piggybacks with what I said, considering this book was written in 1932 and is in the public domain. Top that off with the fact that there has been government involvement delving into these esoteric, paranormal, and occult topics, such as the CIA report link from the Freedom of Information Act. The question I have, is the government using the information to control or to aid humanity? You tell me. I look forward to your comments. Now, coming back to some of the extrasensory abilities mentioned in this book, there is no doubt that the psychic realm is vast and much exploration is still required. I'll just cover a few that I researched first, and one is absent healing. And the science behind distant healing, some scholars connect it with quantum entanglement. I don't know if you've heard of that. And that refers to a phenomena observed by physicists in which two elementary particles emitted from the same source remain aware of each other even after distant separation, so that an action on one causes the same effect in both. This was observed even by Einstein, who famously called it, in absence of a better scientific term, he called it the spooky action at a distance. It was demonstrated to be unmistakably true and measurable in the lab by Friedman and Clauser in 1972, and then it was repeated on a larger scale by Eileen Aspect in France. and several times by Nicholas Gisson in Geneva. David Bohm, a protege of Einstein and a pioneer of quantum physics, called this coherence between distant entities quantum interconnectedness, or they call it non-local correlation. And the significance of this is that even subatomic particles are connected to each other and have awareness of each other. And hence, from that phenomena, it suggests that consciousness, awareness of ourselves and our environment exists independently of the brain, and it is not localized to any particular point in time or space. It is non-local. And so this idea of non-local awareness or non-local mind is gaining support by an increasing number of scientists due to the growing number of evidence behind it. And hence, remote healing is based on the belief that the body is permeated by an energy field that can affect our health and well-being, also called subtle energy, and this vibrational or life force can be impressed upon by a non-local point. So in traditional Chinese medicine, this energy is known as qi or prana in Ayurveda, and it's believed that we can work with this energy to find balance and healing. Several modalities that would fall under this category may include Reiki, chakra healing, and aura cleansing. I believe that the more the scientific community delves into the complexity of the different aspects of the human being, the better we are as a human race. There was another article in the National Library of Science which expressed how anal the science community can get on these matters, as they argued over the definition of the intuition as well as its conceptualization. And despite disagreement about any definition, there was a common ground in that intuition is an experience-based process resulting in a spontaneous tendency toward a hunch or a hypothesis. According to some academians, intuition means to non-consciously understand environmental patterns and to act according with the first impression without being able to justify it. And then when it comes to insight problem solving, that deals with situations in which a solution pops into a person's mind out of the blue, yet both processes can be viewed as non-analytical solution or thought processes. And from there, we can jump into studies by Quonios and Beeman, and that's an article found in Annual Review of Psychology titled The Cognitive Neuroscience of Insight, and they're using current neuroimaging techniques that promote the detection of objective physiological markers of insight in the form of a specific neuronal or electrophysiological activation pattern that accompany those aha moments. So as we have advancement in science and technology, we dive into this through science and we get better understanding, right? There is yet another article from Science News which addresses the next phenomena that I'm going to touch upon, and it's titled Study Unveils Why Healers See Human Aura. And that article discusses a team of scientists from the University of Granada in Spain found that many of the individuals claiming to see the aura of people actually present the neuropsychological phenomena known as synesthesia. And in a study published in the journal Consciousness and Cognition, it explained the esoteric phenomena of the aura as an energy field of luminous radiation surrounding a person as a halo, which is imperceptible to most human beings. In neurological terms, synesthesia is due to cross-wiring in the brain of some people called synesthetes, and these people have more synaptic connections than normal people. But I do know from personal experience that one can train oneself through discipline and the proper mindset to see auras. Now, this is something interesting. My son, who is currently pursuing his doctorate in music, told me he has a musician friend who can taste colors. So there's some synapses and wiring in the mind there. And can you imagine interpreting the colors through taste? Yeah, that explosion of colors in your mouth. Oh, and maybe there are certain foods that, while they may look pleasing to the eye, they actually may not interpret itself as colorful in your mouth. So I don't know if that phenomena is a blessing or a curse. So now, what if These extra senses allow us to access wisdom that may catapult the human race ahead. Would you think your government, with their deep financial pockets, may pursue a line of research? Well, if you answered yes, you are correct. I shared a link on an article from the Freedom of Information Act from the studies by the CIA, so it's on the CIA.gov website. I'm not going to go too deep into the study because it's pretty lengthy and I know your time is valuable, so I left the link so you can look at it with more ease. It involved Robert G. Hahn, and I think I'm saying his name right, but it's with a J, so it could be John. He was an American plasma physicist as well as a professor of aerospace science and dean of engineering at Princeton University, and also headed a NASA-funded program researching electric propulsion systems for spacecraft. So, along with a lady named Carol K. Curry, who herself was an electrical engineering and computer science major from Pasco, Washington, came to him asking whether she might undertake some independent work in psychic phenomena that would build upon her background and skills in instrumentation and data processing. So, his report goes into detail regarding the two dominant subdivisions of psychic phenomena, which are extrasensory perception and psychokinesis, which he refers generally to the acquisition of information from sources blocked from ordinary perception. And under this category, he included telepathy, which refers to the detection of another person's thoughts, clairvoyance, referring to the contemporary perception of physical objects or events, precognition, and retrocognition, which referred to perception of future events and events in the past not accessible by normal recollection. He also added animal ESP, which encompasses a variety of seemingly inexplicable capabilities such as homing, side trailing, collective consciousness communication. Under the psychokinesis studies, these were not just perception they were studying these palpable disturbances. And so they were looking at interactions with physical or biological systems. And so there's a lot of stuff that this report reveals or unveils. And I believe it was the beginning of where we are today, even in the sciences that we see. And he was exploring things like life after death, survival research, and out-of-body experiences, astral projection, and many other things I can't even know how to pronounce. So the article is worth reading, and if you click on the PDF version, you will actually see some of their diagrams and graphs along with the report. If you click on the right to the CIA.gov link, you'll miss these visuals, but they do have the link to the PDF on their site. So without any delay, I will turn the page. Your Psychic Self, a treatise on the various forms of psychic powers and how to develop them, by Rose Breitfeld. Introduction. Great men and women in all ages have been endowed with psychic power. You cannot be notable in any line of worthwhile endeavor unless you are attuned and helped by invisible forces, whether conscious of it or not. You feel drawn toward those people in whom the magnetic force is strong and similar to your own. They only become popular and admired. It behooves all who come in contact with the public to cultivate this finer force. It may be said with assurance that the next generation will come in upon us freer, more magnetic, and better attuned. They will be living radios. Quick perceptions and supramental gifts will be theirs with less effort than we enjoy at the present. The physical body is a most important vehicle. If from earliest childhood the body is kept well nourished, free and easy, unhampered, untaxed. Without cramming the brain, mental development will become, in a sense, intuitional. The child will get as good and better results from insight as from mental observation and brain calculation. Tumult and overactivity in the mental world is a stumbling block for finer development. It is not how much you have crammed into your brain self that counts, but how much and how well you can bring it out and express it for good use. From a practical as well as from a scientific viewpoint, conscious psychic development is a great aid to human growth. When you know how to use your finer forces, you will not stoop to anything that is contrary to good taste. Systematic development is advisable. No shortcut, no hurry, but sensible guidance coming through accomplished teachers. They can point the way to your highest goal. The old type medium is being replaced by newer, the more scientific one, who is able to explain the whys and wherefores of phenomena. At best, so much still remains unexplained because this field is so vast and rich that much explanation is still required. The day is approaching when geniuses will come forth and untiringly probe into the psychic mysteries that are still veiled from our sight and knowledge. Who can tell what marvels await the coming generations in this particular field? It may be said safely, though, that great gifts will always belong to the few, those who are willing to study, wait, sacrifice, suffer, and diligently preserve under all conditions, daring at any cost to tell the world what they know and how this knowledge can be acquired. A preliminary postulate. You are a spiritual being endowed with great psychic power. You came into this world with a particular gift. Do you know what it is? Remember, there is no shortcut to spiritual development. You must proceed step by step, cultivate, nurture, and bring out into visibility what is now latent within you. Caution should be used not to overdo, so as to avoid strain and unbalance. Nothing can be of real value or use before it is naturally ripened. This is well to remember. Each spiritual gift will be presented in sequence so that you can see where you fit in. What is your spiritual gift? Do you heal? Do you make others happier with your presence? Do people confide in you easily? Are you willing to help when you are called upon? Then know you are a conscious healer, and higher illumination will come to you as you open yourself to the divine inflow. Healing of mind, body, and mundane affairs is the most important phase of mediumship. The person so gifted has cosmic consciousness plus psychic power developed, or else he would not have the urge to do this work. All psychic and mystical work is a blessing to the human family, but this high calling, this ministry, is a special dispensation to the chosen few. Everyone living has some problem to solve. There are many perplexities that confront us. You cannot always unravel them yourself. You may be gifted in a particular way, but you do not always know what to do next for your best interests. Some spiritual teachers claim that within you lies the answer to all your problems. At the first glance, you may think so, but study this more deeply, and you will find that the person who is impartial to your needs, who is not too close to your problem, can help you adjust yourself. You may not know or value yourself in your particular activity or whatever occupation you pursue. Consequently, you may not fit in where you actually belong in the scheme of things. This misadjustment can keep you guessing what to do next. Another person with clear seeing ability may place you just where you will fit in perfectly, beautifully, and beneficially. When you are properly placed, you can express yourself quite freely. You let tension go, you become naturally poised, you become receptive to higher, clearer, and finer vibrations. People feel any change taking place in others. They sense it somehow, Whether or not they can express what they feel about you does not matter visibly. You yourself will become aware that you are being healed, directed, and guided. The more you rely on this guidance, the more you look for it, expect, and cherish it. So, know that healing can take place in all the departments of your being. Each problem can be healed with patience and persistence. Persistence is the golden key to all greater development. Healing. Absent healing is but a phase of present healing. When you can attune with the healer, can wait and trust, then results are inevitable. The expectant attitude is most essential for best results, and results obtained give the best proof of successful healing. Find the healer in whom you can confide and trust. Your own inner voice will tell you who can help you best. Try all things, but hold fast to the one from whom you get results. When all material means have failed, become scientific and avail yourself of the spiritual means, though unseen, yet perfectly in accordance with dependable law that never fails. You may not see all that is taking place around you, but constant change is the law of life. Inspiration. Do you feel inclined to express yourself freely? If you do it intelligently and sensibly, you are tapping the inspirational plane. You may attempt this phase of mediumship, but bear in mind, inspiration can only crown you when you have prepared the way, that is yourself, by study, reading, meditation, and expression. The unseen will transmit to you that only which can assimilate and express intelligently. The rosy road to inspiration is achieved by constant practice. Proficiency is obtained when you acknowledge what you know and look forward to receiving more advanced knowledge that will surely come forth in due course of time. Under all conditions, during development, never expect something to come or burst upon you unawares. Spirit is scientific, therefore in perfect accord with natural and spiritual law. Use what you know, and more will be given you. Intuition. Intuition, the next step, can be developed in a similar way. In order to use anything, you must know that you have that particular thing or gift. Rely upon it, test it. Does it work in your affairs? Has intuitive guidance been beneficial to you in practical ways? Have you dared to lead others intuitively? And were they who listened and followed you visibly benefited? And had they the courage to admit it? No matter how flowery a message may sound, leave it alone if you cannot make use of it. Advance yourself first by getting more knowledge, and when you become tireless in your effort, you will get true intuitive guidance. When illuminated flashes play upon your mind, question the source and know this. The more you will learn, the more learned are the influences coming through. This is law, and you can rely on it that it does not change. Human radiations. Do you sense and read the aura? Or better still, human radiations? Every person emanates a subtle force that can be felt and interpreted by a psychic who has sufficiently sensitized organism. You can get impressions about the person before you. He becomes an open book and reveals himself to a degree that no questioning, however cleverly manipulated, could ever reveal. The person may not know what is keeping him back from developing and progressing in life, but your clear sensing can solve his problem. Interpreting his vibration correctly will eventually solve his perplexities as no other remedy can. You get to the root of things and then eliminate those which are not beneficial. Impressions. Impression mediumship is a little more advanced sensing. The person who gets impression about people is a receiving station or a human radio. Everyone receives impressions from within as well as from the outer thought world. Feeling plays an important part in interpreting impressions. This is as great an art, and even greater than many could imagine. Your organism must become sensitized, receptive, and open channel for the transmission of other people's thoughts. You can so develop yourself that as soon as you come near any person, you can at a glance know what is going on within them, whether happy or not, healthy or otherwise. You can tell how far the person before you has climbed the ladder in evolution. An impression medium can do a great good because he knows his fellow man and what is going on in his life. He can appreciate the good in anyone, and when it happens that he meets those traveling on the same plane and having similar vibrations, it spells joy to him. The impression medium must guard against mixed vibrations, mental conflict, and all inharmonious conditions. It upsets his finer self, causing untold discomfort and even pain in his physical body when out of tune with his environment. It requires days to adjust himself again, meantime paying with inexpressible suffering. The denser or less impressive person cannot imagine what this state is. Only through development can one fully know and appreciate psychic values. Look upon yourself as an instrumentality, for such you are. The finer and cleaner you can keep yourself within and without, the better care you give yourself, growing calm and poised, the better chances you have for the attainment of supreme personality, individuality, and power. Great psychics are magnetic because of their development. They radiate what they are and know. Dreams, projections. Do you dream and have your dreams a tendency to materialize? Dreams are made of very tangible material. They are not shadowy phantoms that dissolve readily after you see them. Your inner eye never sleeps. It becomes busy and actively engaged when your outer physical self is at rest. The more you can keep at rest during the day, the clearer will your dream be. You function on planes that are real to the inner self. You meet the living, and more frequently the so-called dead, on the astral plane. Many marvelous developments take place during sleep. Your nature may be too positive, so you keep on opposing what is given to you during active thought life. The invisible forces know that and refuse to be hindered. Therefore, your development takes place during slumber. Your inner eye may then be opened for clairvoyance. Your inner hearing may unfold as in clairaudience. If you can heal, the forces may keep on, projecting you to places where you are most needed to render service, even though unknown to you. When you are sufficiently developed, it will not be difficult for you to recall what was going on during sleep on higher planes. Do you know that some people have the power to project themselves to any place or distance? As in absent healing, for instance, this is not visualization. You quiet your body as in trance. The deeper this induced state, the better will be the result. In emergency cases where healthfulness is sought or similar important conditions have to be met, to know how to project yourself is the most potent factor in healing. All distance is then eliminated. You minister, soothe, heal, actually converse with your patient. Yes, you are near him at his bedside, whether the patient is conscious of your presence or not. If he is at all psychically developed, he will sense your presence. Marvelous cures have been wrought during meditative projections. The deeper the meditation, the better the results obtained. You stop opposing your guiding forces during sleep. Therefore, many are developed through the period of rest. The inner mind accepts more readily the lesson given while the body is stilled in sleep, more so than it would be in an active waking state. Trance. Trance is a subject as profound and as entrancing as this state indicates. The deeper the trance induced, the more interesting the phenomena. There are various degrees of trance development. They range from reveries through daydreams, abstractions, semi-trance, trance, and profound trance. Of course, deep trance is preferred. It puts the medium's personality aside. The medium does not have to color, dramatize, or search his mind for what to say next. It is a wonderful phase of mediumship, but not at all easily acquired or mastered. Meditation will open the door to the unfoldment of trance. If you can quiet your physical senses, practice silence, and meditate, you will bring out this particular gift, which is not at all easy to develop. The entranced medium becomes a living transmitter for the dead as well as for the living. The entities who come before him look alive, move, and impart what they wish to. They reveal what is utterly impossible for the medium to know were he in a conscious state. To go into all details from all angles and to foresee coming events belongs to the realm where wisdom abides and five-sense consciousness can have no play in it. Insight and prevision act simultaneously and are revealed through the entranced medium. Much strain and guesswork is dispensed with while the medium is under control. The conscious mind is temporarily in abeyance. It takes a rest, as it were. Mind and brain power is for the time being used for the manifestation of this remarkable phenomena. The trance medium acts normally and consciously on the astral plane as one does on this plane were we alive. In fact, people and things stand out clearly, convey what they wish to, not in symbolism, but in understandable language. When an entity learns how to use the vocal organs of the medium, he then can talk with perfect ease. Always remember, however, that an rapport must be established. The personality of the medium has a great deal to do with who the guiding control is, and entities out of tune with the medium will not go near, just the same as you would discriminate in your dealings with people on this plane. When once this is substantiated, that, as above so below, so much of confusion and wrong interpretation as regards messages will be dispensed with. The physical and mental condition, especially the physical of this fine and high quality of mediumship, should be seriously looked after. Right living is essential for keeping the force properly balanced. The finer the instrumentality, the stronger the force, the better the control, and the more correct the messages. The mental state and general moral outlook play their part as well. Truthfulness practiced and adhered to here on this plane registers in the human aura. Auric vibrations. The aura is the blueprint of the individuality. This can be discerned, felt, read, interpreted. Therefore, when the blueprint reveals what you are, you would naturally, through the power of attraction, attract about the same kind to assist you. How can the message come through correct and true when the conveying instrument lacks the very element of truthfulness? This is the scientific explanation why so many foreseen events never come to pass. A little serious study and consideration on the part of the medium will convince him of the accuracy of the statement. Since everything has a tendency to rebound sooner or later, this practice of truth should become a part of one's own life. Then messages will come true because you will naturally get the right and truthful, and even the misleading forces will in time learn their lessons and become as you expect them to, truthful. It is easier to work under spirit control. The instrument is looked after the forces engineered by an intelligence well acquainted with laws governing psychic phenomena. The main thought should be to become obedient to the voice within. Passivity, meditation, and complete relaxation of body will bring results when all other means have failed. When can the genius artist paint his masterpiece? When deeply absorbed, away from mundane affairs that tend to keep him from great achievement. Remember that when you will rely on just you, the five-sense individual, you will be as the rest of the world, passed by unnoticed. What playing would uplift you? Were the virtuoso conscious of every move on his instrument? Would a great work come from the pen of the composer were he conscious of every little thing going on before him as it goes on in our conscious selves? Authoritatively speaking, life here is not always colorful, gay, or worthwhile. At best, it is fleeting. Those who come through the shadows seem to have gotten rid of burden that here alone has for some reason put upon us. Living is serious. Some never become adjusted to life here. Such persons should take up mediumship to get away from this sinister condition. Those who can look at any one thing as part and only part of the whole should, when fully developed psychically, be happier because they can function where peace dwells, where sordid striving ceases. You can rest assured that it is a great uplift to be in the company of the illumined, who really know you, cooperate, and help with your development. It is a gift worth striving for. It opens the door to something that a pen, no matter how masterfully manipulated by instrumentality, can ever convey. You have to go through steps in development to appreciate what higher unfoldment stands for. Foresight. Do you have the gift of foresight? Make it a practice to observe what comes to you. You must not necessarily be in trance to manifest this phase. Insight is a psychic sense. Some form of mathematical calculation seems to come into play and reveals what will take place. Though apparently conscious, the psychic who uses this faculty, advanced seeing, is not really all conscious. You seem to know what outcome there is to the problem before you. Logically, you could not know that. When there is a tendency to foresee, test what comes true, note it, and determine to pursue the study. Foresight is a subtle, flesh-like thought wave that registers in your mind. When you can trust your inner self, foresight will convey to you the exact answer to all queries. You may rely upon it, but as helpful as this gift is, one should not encourage foreseeing. It is misunderstood by many and leads to doubt. If things fail to materialize to the exact letter, some followers become very critical when psychic work is under consideration, imagining because it comes through other channels than physical means, it must be perfect, forgetting that those out of the body that convey a message did not reach perfection, that in a sense they're still human, hardly used to their new environment. For some of them it is a problem to acclimate themselves because they miss the physical body, relatives, associates, and whatever they prized and clung to in earthly life. Investigators in this field should not overlook true and vital facts. You must know that all is according to law, and growth is a spiritual asset, a commodity good on all planes. You must begin where you left off. Do not expect the impossible. The entities like to have you look upon them still as human beings, not out somewhere in gloom, in obscurity as dead ghosts. Know that they are live beings, only in different bodies, a bit finer, conscious of all that takes place where they are, and learning lessons that they probably overlooked while in the flesh. Since their bodies are lighter and of more ethereal substance, They move about with ease. Distance becomes less of a hindrance, and clear seeing and clear hearing are their compensation for the loss of vocal organs and audible expression. Feeling is conveyed by the entities through their direct impression. Clairvoyance. Do you sense clearly? Is your perception keen? Do you feel people? Does their presence make you harmonious or otherwise? Then know that you are a clear-seeing medium, and the more poised and peaceful you can be, the finer your forces will become and the clearer your sensing faculty. Clairvoyance is really an extension of all your senses, not only on one plane but on others as well. You use your sixth sense in seeing, feeling, and hearing. Your five senses plus others that are dormant merge into one. Then you become clairvoyant. You must necessarily become subjective or partially so to see clairvoyantly. During sleep, when you are being developed, you use this extraordinarily fine sense. Things and people become clear, real, and colorful as life made them. All guise is removed, and the truer your life and values of life are here on this plane, the truer this great and wonderful gift will manifest itself. It will not elude you, but show coming events in a sequential order that will come to pass, but you must cultivate a hopeful, expectant attitude. You cannot hasten this finer spiritual development, but you can help it along using your gifts by becoming the physical organism called you, free from excitement, emotional disturbances, and run-down condition. Light food, plenty of water, rarefied air are great aids in bringing to the fore this priceless faculty, clairvoyance. When clairvoyance is your gift, you are directed how to see with the inner eye, travel in space in the spirit body, go through clear seeing experiences, take part in whatever is before you. You become active in sleep state. When the time is up, you are safely released. Write down your visions and psychic experiences that take place during sleep while memory still lingers. Many unforeseen events are revealed when you are released from the body during rest. Clairaudience. Do you hear clearly within? It is not your physical ear that hears what takes place and informs you who the visible beings are who whisper to you. You must sensitize your physical organism to catch the voice. When very still, listen, practice listening intently, and inner feeling will become a leading guide in your life. A trance subject functioning on other planes can hear every word spoken audibly without strain or effort on the part of the sensitive. Bear in mind that supernormal sensing is not accomplished with your senses. It requires patience, attention, and cultivation to become the gifted possessor of these finer senses. It is not accomplished in a few days, a few weeks, or even a few months. Sitting for development may help, but only persistence opens the door to inner knowing. Psychic functioning can be developed as any of the fine arts, and this is not done overnight. The finer the instrumentality, the better the results obtained. Automatic writing. This opens a great field for the one who can practice passivity and obedience to the inner voice. You must learn to relax. It is important to be punctual in keeping your lesson appointment with the invisible people. For best results, practice with the unseen what you would with your seen friends right here on earth. You grow in this writing expression as you would in any fine work. All psychic phenomena is art, a great art, if you please. You may be the finest psychic, but you must not overlook the fact that practice makes the master. A great pianist does not imagine that he can or may someday play his instrument because of chance, wishing, or good luck. He goes about developing his talent in a scientific, orderly way. He wants to play. He gets his instrument. He takes lessons. He attunes himself and practices daily. He meditates. He discovers. He associates with those who know the law underlying his particular art and incessantly strives. Tired? Disappointed? Ignored? What does it matter? In time, the accumulated growth that once took root deeply must shoot forth as a seed does when properly planted. When the artist knows that he really knows, he proceeds in a positive attitude and wins. You must win out when you pay the high price for your finer development. Materialization and Etherealization. Do you see materialized forms? Then you must be gifted individual with a particular magnetism that the invisible beings can use and manipulate to build up a temporary vehicle or body to present themselves distinctly before you. This tendency or gift is usually inherited. You must be so shaped in your mother's womb. At your very birth, you are guided. You walk and talk with these beings. Remember, you naturally attract forces that harmonize with your own. But since forces grow and develop as you do, you are subject to attraction according to your growth. The body must be well kept as much power is used up in materializing forms. Depletion in the physical body of the medium means deterioration as well as ill health. You should balance the output of energy with the intake, as this is most essential. An outdoor life is of much help to a materializing medium. The sister phenomena is etherealization, differing from materialization only in this respect, that not as much power is required and used up to etherealize forms. Also, that a much finer quality of magnetism and plasm is required to build up these presences. Etherealized forms do not use the vocal organs. They are phantom-like in lightness and silvery in color, very dainty looking. This type of etherealized entity comes and goes, not necessarily conveying messages as some of the materialized groups do. Physical phenomena. When enough magnetism is obtained, it is used for various expressions. Entities clothe themselves in these substances to appear among us, at least temporarily. You can readily see, were they, as some like to believe, dead, spirit phenomena could not be produced. Out of nothing something is never had. You must have some kind of material to produce. The better and the finer the material obtained, the quicker you can be convinced of their existence, presence, and return. It is desirable to so gradually develop that very shadow of a doubt would be gone from your mind. Some say, seeing is believing. Many things exist, whether you do see them or not. You never hear a person say how little he may know. Why don't I sing and so does, or play the violin as he does? You know that such accomplishments can only be yours when you study from the earliest, practice and persevere, and if you are a genius, you go to the very limit to perfect yourself in your chosen field. The same compensation in spiritual values can be yours if you pursue investigation untiringly. There is no other answer. According to your faith will it be done unto you. Get the desire, keep it alive under all conditions, and you must unfold the best there is within you. Physical phenomena have always interested seekers in this field of the unseen. Levitation is one phase of it. Independent spirit writing, as slate and automatic, comes under the same heading. And out of that, you can develop more advanced phases such as trumpet, independent voice, and others. The person exercising this power must necessarily have an abundance of electric force in his own body to begin with. This type of medium is usually slow going, heavy built, phlegmatic. Since everything is governed by law, spirit has the same immutable law. There is constant interchange of forces for the production of physical manifestation that so interests the onlooker. If you hear raps, not just imagine them. Know that you possess a subtle something that helps to produce this type of phenomena. It requires regular sittings to bring forth your particular gift. Select for associates those persons who possess an abundance of force, who relax easily, who are in sympathetic rapport with you, who will persist weeks, months, and if need be, years till you get satisfactory results. Remember, you will not get something for the asking merely. Only steadfastness and sincere purpose will swing the unseen doors open, and spirit voices will become clear and audible to delight the hearts of the true seeker and show how thin the veil is that separates us from those we have loved and seemingly lost. When you become tireless in your search and effort, you will bring the unseen guests so close to you that they will materialize before your very eyes, just as you have known them during life on the earth plane. You will perhaps be startled at how natural, how really themselves they are, still concerned about the things that once held interest for them. The feeling of this contact is positively sublime. Do you want to know how true it is? Then develop yourself. Give as much time to this inner unfoldment as you would to paint a beautiful painting or to become a singer. When you are chosen by the intelligence as the instrumentality, you must give service to keep the gift alive through use. Truly, the impossible will become possible if you cooperate with those who have gone beyond and have acquired greater wisdom. They have learned their lessons in many incarnations. Know that only through service can we grow in spirit. Practical steps. The easiest, quickest, and safest way to unfold physically is dependent upon how you take care of your organism. Keep the physical body free from congestions, toxins, and inflammations. Pure water, good air, and correct foods are most important factors. Give your body as much attention and care as you would give any other fine instrument that you use daily. A calm and cheerful outlook on life is essential. When you are properly balanced, desired results follow. Silence and meditation open the psychic door and assure comfort, serenity, and color to your surroundings. Associate with people who are developed and who possess an abundance of good magnetism. By good magnetism is meant those who are free from ill odors, who know the value of cleanliness, of aesthetic taste, and who can control their appetites. There are rules to follow. First, build up and renew your bodily forces. Then learn to develop and use your real self to reach your soul's aim. Truths about psychic science. Every person is to a degree psychic, some more, others less. The subject under consideration would become too complicated should this be explained in detail. Suffice it to say, your own inner growth is responsible on what plane you are now functioning and how far you have evolved your psychic self. Psychic gifts manifest gradually and only with persistent effort. They come easier when you are mindful of an all-around development. Much takes place during development that is seen, and much more that is never revealed, not even during one's entire lifetime. The road to this attainment is usually strewn with thorns in the form of handicaps, such as standing alone, traveling, and changing, depending on none but the invisible. The soul is constantly tested, and what more, no other can pass the test for you. You must face them alone, and if not fortified, go through many trials. It takes cycles to evolve a state of consciousness to want to pursue such studies. You had to earn it sometime, somewhere. It is yours to the degree that you utilize the power in helping mankind, but you may not use it for selfish purposes. When using the power in the right way, the supervising intelligences will shield and protect the psychic instrument and keep him on the earth plane till the service rendered reaches those destined to receive his help. Viewing higher psychic developing sanely and without bias, one well versed in this science comes to the conclusion that the medium and the psychic, because of their development, become supersensitive, peculiar, different. This development always affects a change in the human organism. They feel too keenly any change in others, be they near or far. Constant sensing is theirs. It becomes instinctive like any other sense in use. The psychic and medium can find solace and peace only on planes where peace prevails, where the ether waves are lighter and where order and harmony is the keynote. The contrary state has a confusing and drastic effect on the aura, and this in turn affects their well-being. Those who rush in for quick development without preparation get into conflicting and sometimes obsessing conditions. Their mode of living and thinking tend to make them abnormally sensitive. Their thoughts swing from one extreme to the other, either becoming too elated or too gloomy. The foregoing reveals facts about psychic and mediumistic unfoldment that few have dared to reveal. The gradual step-by-step process will help the earnest seeker to unfold the right way. It is hoped that the impatient emotional person will be prevented from dabbling in something that tends to make him abnormally sensitive and peculiar. True psychic development is gradual, moral, and spiritual. Conclusion. It is a mistaken idea that mediums are negative. What proof is there to justify this erroneous statement? The fact is that highly unfolded mediums and psychics are very positive. They rely on themselves, they cooperate with the unseen, in love and obedience and not in negation, as it is often asserted. To appear before the public, to expand any philosophy, to definitely convey ideas, all require a positive personality. How could it be done otherwise? It behooves all who want to develop themselves for greater work to unfold their psychic power. This should be done for various reasons. First, when you go through certain experiences yourself, you believe without doubting or taking anyone else's word for granted. It is proof to you, especially in psychic matters. Second, it makes you aware of a supersensible world where the five-sense conscience fails to discern. Because of your unfoldment, you dare do things you would not do otherwise. Few persons can express what they know and feel within them. They live and die repressed. Even a fine intellect is not always much of a help to make you positive. Intellectual training is one means, and by far not the only one, for greater achievement. Supersensible knowledge can be acquired in an entirely different way. Here discernment comes into play. It is a gift to be able to perceive clearly. And in order to do that correctly, you should have the sixth sense awakened. This is extended consciousness. You know more than you ordinarily would. It is a combination of sensing and feeling. You feel more than you actually see. The person psychically developed becomes a receiving station for thought vibrations coming from others, but it depends upon how the thoughts are interpreted. Seemingly, the medium is better protected from thought waves than the psychic is. The reason for this lies in the fact that the medium is watched over by her control, and when advanced and when he has attracted similar guides, they keep out of the way undeveloped entities and thoughts which clamor for admission from everywhere. This protection applies especially to mediums, but it is not always so in the case where the person has developed psychically. The inner awakened man that lay slumbering and dormant heretofore demands full recognition when once awakened. You can't stop or go back. It is a living urge to which you are to listen while being trained. It is more exacting and not as lenient as the extraneous guiding forces. It is you, yet not you. It is positive in its reality, though unseen, and when you rely on it, it will serve you at all times. The knower is directing. When you become properly attuned, it will always guide you, demanding obedience and faithfulness from its subject, the psychic, throughout a lifetime. It takes half one's time and effort to develop mediumship. The guiding forces that help along are perhaps more lenient toward their instrument while development goes on. While the psychic must never stop unfolding, always giving an ear to what step to take next, helping others in a constructive way, he is an instrumentality, yet not as much subject to outer forces as the medium is exposed to at all times. A highly trained psychic consulter is one who has developed a perception beyond the physical senses. To him, the inner man appears as he is in reality. The sitter may not really know that to clear vision, things that are clothed in flesh and obscured are nevertheless perceptible and outstanding to the sensitive X-ray eye of the psychic. That when positive can without any doubt produce marvels in results, were it in health, mental hygiene, and personal affairs. Let me reveal you to yourself. Show the way to attain knowledge that leads to power, and power to wisdom sublime. By Rose Breitfeld. And this concludes the reading of Your Psychic Self, a treatise on the various forms of psychic powers and how to develop them. Are you a psychic? Which of the extra senses are you most comfortable with, or that you acknowledge that are developed within you? Let me know. Make a comment here. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And be blessed. We'll catch each other at the next video here on my channel, wherever that might be.